Welcome to another session of Import Export Policies and Procedures. And in today's session, we will be discussing International Commercial Terms or Incoterms. As we all know, language is one of the most complex and important tools of international trade. As in any complex and sophisticated business, small changes in wording can have a major impact on all aspects of a business agreement. Word definitions often differ from industry to industry. This is especially true of global trade, where such fundamental phrases as delivery can have a far different meaning in the business than in the rest of the world. For business terminology to be effective, phrases must mean the same thing throughout the industry. That is why the International Chamber of Commerce created Incoterms in 1936. Let's discuss the features of Incoterms. The Incoterms rules or international commercial terms are a series of predefined commercial terms published by the International Chamber of Commerce that are widely used in international commercial transactions or procurement processes. Incoterms are designed to create a bridge between different members of the industry by acting as a uniform language they can use. Incoterms rules are intended primarily to clarify, communicate the task, cost, and risk associated with the transportation and delivery of goods. Incoterms also deal with the documentation required for global trade, specifying which parties are responsible for which documents. Determining the paperwork required to move a shipment is an important job. Since requirements vary so much between countries, two items, however, are standard: the commercial invoice and the packaging list. Incoterms were created primarily for people inside the world of global trade. Outsiders frequently find them difficult to understand. Seemingly, common words such as responsibility and delivery have different meanings in global trade than they do in other situations. The Incoterms rules are accepted by the governments, legal authorities, and practitioners worldwide for the interpretation of most commonly used terms in international trade. They are intended to reduce or remove altogether uncertainties arising from different interpretation of the rules in different countries. As such, they are regularly incorporated into sales contracts worldwide. So, these are the features of Incoterms. They are predefined commercial terms. They are used in international commercial transactions. They create a bridge between different members, and they deal with the documentation required for global trade, and they are intended to reduce or remove altogether uncertainties arising from different interpretation. Now let's discuss the categories of Incoterms. Incoterms are most frequently listed by category. Terms beginning with F refer to shipments where the primary cost of shipping is not paid for by the seller. Terms beginning with C deal with shipments where the seller pays for shipping. E-terms occur when a seller's responsibilities are fulfilled when goods are ready to depart from their facilities. D-terms cover shipments where the shipper or seller's responsibility ends when the goods arrive at some specific point. Because shipments are moving into a country, D-terms usually involves the services of a customs broker or a freight forwarder. In addition, D terms also deal with the pair or docking charges found at virtually all ports and determining who is responsible for each charge. There are totally 11 different terms, each of which helps users deal with different situations involving the movement of goods. Now let's see the different 11 Incoterms that people are commonly using. EXW or XWorks, FOB or free on board, FCA or free carrier, FAS or free alongside ship, CFR or cost and freight, CIF or cost insurance and freight, CPT or carriage paid to, CIP or carriage and insurance paid to, DAT or delivered at terminal, DAP or delivered at place, and DDP or delivered duty paid. So these are the 11 Incoterms that people commonly uses. So let's discuss each one of them in detail. The first one is EXW or XWorks. So EXW means XWorks and is followed by a named place. For example, EXW Delhi or EXW Kochi, like that. So EXW means the seller's responsibility is to make the goods available at the seller's premises. So the only thing the seller has to do is to make the goods available at his premises, from which the buyer have to collect the goods. So the seller is not responsible for loading the goods on the vehicle provided by the buyer, who then bears the full cost involved in bringing the goods from there to the desired destination. So the buyer have to bear all the cost that is needed to bring the goods from the seller's premise to his location or destination. One of the simplest and most basic shipment arrangements places the minimum responsibility on the seller with the greater responsibility on the buyer is XWorks. So in XWorks, there is minimum responsibility for the seller and there is greater responsibility for the buyer. In an XWorks transaction, goods are basically made available for pickup at the shipper or seller's factory or warehouse, and delivery is accomplished when the merchandise is released to the consignee's freight forwarder. The buyer is responsible for making arrangements with their forwarder for insurance, export clearance, and handling all other paperwork. So the only thing the seller has to do is to make the merchandise available at seller's premises, and the buyer is the person who will be responsible for arranging insurance, arranging all the export clearances, and handling all other paperwork, and he has to bear the cost to bring the merchandise from the seller's premises to the buyer's warehouse. So that's all about EXW or XWorks. So basically EXW or XWorks is the basic shipment arrangement where the seller has minimum responsibility and the buyer has maximum responsibility. The next one is FOB or free on board. So free on board means that the seller delivers the goods on board the vessel nominated by the buyer at the named port of shipment or procures the goods already so delivered. And in FOB, the risk of loss of or damage to the goods passes when the goods are on board the vessel, and the buyer bears all the costs from the moment onwards. One of the most commonly used and misused terms in Incoterm is free on board. So the shipper or seller uses his freight forwarder to move the merchandise to the port or designated point of origin. Though frequently used to describe inland movement of cargo, FOB specifically refers to ocean or inland waterway transportation of goods. And the delivery is accomplished when the shipper or seller releases the goods to the buyer's forwarder. The buyer's responsibility for insurance and transportation begins at the same moment. So in FOB or free on board, the seller has to send the goods or merchandise to the ship. So from the ship, once the goods reach the ship, the responsibility will transfer from the seller to the buyer, and from that time onwards, the buyer have to bear all the risk. Buyer have to bear all the cost that is involved in the transport of goods. So the seller has to bear the whole cost till delivering the goods to the ship, and from there onwards, the buyer have to bear all the cost. So that's all about FOB or free on board. The third important one is CIF, cost, insurance and freight. So cost, insurance and freight means that the seller delivers the goods on board the vessel or procures the goods already so delivered. The risk of loss or damage to the goods passes when the goods are on board the vessel. The seller must contract for and pay the cost and freight necessary to bring the goods to the named port of destination. This arrangement is similar to CFR, but instead of the buyer insuring the goods for the maritime phases of the voyage, the shipper or seller will insure the merchandise. In this arrangement, the seller usually chooses the forwarder. Delivery as above is accomplished at the port of destination. The seller also contracts for insurance cover against the buyer's risk of loss or damage to the goods during the carriage. The buyer should note that under CIF, the seller is required to obtain insurance only on minimum cover. Should the buyer wish to have more insurance protection, it will need either to agree as much expressly with the seller or to make its own extra arrangements.